Good morning, welcome to the forecast discussion for June 18th, 2014, and this is the hottest day of the week. Which, hey, it's Wednesday, it's a hump day, it's halfway through the week. We peak in the temperatures today. From here on out, it gets a bit cooler each day, especially by Friday. Well, right now we have temperatures as of 10 a.m. ranging from the upper 70s to lower 80s over the northern interior, and lower to mid 80s throughout the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area, mid 80s in your urban locations. And the winds are from the west and northwest. They're going to back towards the southwest later on this afternoon as a cold front approaches. But pretty much what we have in place here is a very hot and humid air mass. How hot? Temperatures today will rise into the upper 80s to lower 90s along the coast. Even you in Long Island will see temperatures very close to 90 degrees. In the Philadelphia metropolitan area and really over much of New Jersey and eastern Pennsylvania, temperatures will rise into the lower to mid 90s. I cannot rule out a few upper 90s, let's say 97, 98 degrees, around portions of the Delaware River Valley, around Newark, around Philadelphia. If you get just enough sunlight, especially in those urban locations, temperatures could really spike this afternoon, making for a very uncomfortable weather scenario because you have plenty of humidity in the atmosphere, so that heat index is going to be pretty high up there in the upper 90s to lower 100s. This is going to feel very uncomfortable this afternoon. But again, it's today and then we start backing off. So that's the good news here. This summer I don't think it's going to see any prolonged conditions like what we're seeing today. It's going to be, you're going to get a hot day every so often like what we're seeing today, but I think the overall theme is going to be cool this summer, and I'll show you why in just a moment. Now, one aspect that's a little bit different from the other days with this very hot and humid air mass is that the mid and upper levels are actually colder, and it's becoming more unstable. What this is basically the lapse rate, the difference in temperature from 700 millibars to 500 millibars. And when I'm seeing a lapse rate of 6.5 or 7 degrees Celsius, that's basically an indication that the atmosphere is becoming significantly colder as you move up higher. And this is important because when you have a very warm, or in this case hot, lower level atmosphere, parcels like water vapor in that atmosphere start to rise. Now that parcel in this atmosphere is warmer than the surrounding area, so that allows a water vapor parcel, let's say, to rise very quickly. The best way to illustrate that is when you're looking at a cumulus cloud, those puffy clouds, and they're building up higher and higher in the atmosphere. What you're seeing is that very process of water vapor rapidly rising in the atmosphere. Now, in order to have that happen, you have to have a colder atmosphere higher than lower. So in this case, it's, let's say, 95 degrees at the surface, but at 500 millibars, it's 30 degrees. So as that air rises, it rises even faster because the water vapor is warmer than the surrounding atmosphere. And this is pretty much what we're seeing here as an indicator of that. Now, where you have your best severe weather out here around, let's say, Chicago, the atmosphere is extremely unstable. So that's why we're seeing this highlighted orange area here. But we're not that far away in the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area, and that's why I think that we're going to have a better chance of seeing isolated showers and thunderstorms in this environment than we have the past 2 days. So we're really going to have to watch out because any of these thunderstorms that develop and tap into this environment are going to be capable of reaching severe levels, and that means very heavy downpours, frequent lightning, hail, wind gusts over 60 miles per hour. Not very pretty. Not everyone will see it, but those that do, they'll likely remember it, that is for sure. On the surface map, this is key. Let's refresh this real fast. Here we are. Here we have this frontal boundary. Now this frontal boundary is going to pretty much wash out and collapse because the overall atmosphere is still supporting a very hot and humid environment. And this cold front is basically running into a ridge that is parked at the lower, mid, and upper levels over the southeast and southern mid-Atlantic. So this is going to wash out and collapse. This cold front here is the real deal. This cold front will drive to the south tonight, slowly move through tomorrow, and produce the threat for showers and thunderstorms. Now, For today, because we have more sunshine, we're going to be very hot. Tomorrow, we'll have low temperatures starting out in the upper 60s to lower 70s, and high temperatures will top off in the upper 80s to lower 90s, about 4 to 5 degrees cooler than today. And the reason why is because we're going to be having more cloud cover and the potential for more showers and thunderstorms, thus a slightly cooler environment. So this cold front's basically going to collapse. This one is the one we're going to have to watch moving forward for tonight and through tomorrow as it drops south. And then you see this high pressure system all the way up here in northern Ontario, Canada. This high pressure system will build south, producing excellent weather conditions on Friday and setting up the environment for a marine air mass to lock in for this weekend and early next week. As far as the radar is concerned, well, not much really going on out there. Pretty much high and dry conditions are in place. We're going to refresh this one more time just to observe once again. Not much really going on here. This is what we're going to watch out for this afternoon. Not necessarily these thunderstorms, but watch out for the outflow boundary from these thunderstorms. Think of it kind of like echoes coming out from these thunderstorms. Basically, cool air is developing under these thunderstorms. It expands out away from the thunderstorm and becomes like little mini cold fronts. So you have that combination with a very hot and humid air mass in place over eastern Pennsylvania and New Jersey and the New York City Metro and Connecticut, more so to your west. And you set up the environment for those thunderstorms to fire off later on this afternoon, evening. So we're going to have to really watch this radar throughout the day because any of these thunderstorms could develop rapidly, right over you, become severe, and then collapse just as fast. So we're going to have to stay on our toes and really keep an eye on this pattern moving forward. As far as the visible satellite is concerned, well, we have a little bit of an issue with the satellite. I do apologize for that. We'll refresh that once again. Look at that. It's loading. Gotta love internet. Okay, so here we are. Again, see the sunrise. See, we're high and dry with clear skies throughout the region. We'll put the fronts on here, and you can see one cold front's going to wash out. This one's the main one, the real deal. This cold front will basically peter out and support that convection we were seeing in western Pennsylvania to travel to the east. Again, this is not the air mass change. This one is. So we're going to watch to see those skies clear out, temperatures rise up, and then the threat for thunderstorms later on this evening. On the water vapor satellite picture, notice we don't see a very strong trough in the northwestern Atlantic, and that's one of the reasons why we're so warm. That is not going to remain the case moving forward. So what we have here is a trough in the west, a nice ridge over the plains and over the southeast, and then we start to see the development of a new trough over New England and also the Canadian Maritimes. When we take a look at the latest model guidance using the European model guidance from the Penn State EOL website, for this afternoon, notice we don't really have a defined trough here over the northwestern Atlantic. It's kind of redeveloping here. So that has allowed this ridge to build further north, and that's why it's hot and humid. Look what happens tomorrow. Our new trough starts to get its act together. Look at that strong upper level low. Very impressive. And that's what's going to help to drive our cold front that is currently over Quebec and Ontario through the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area by tomorrow evening, with the better chance for showers and thunderstorms. Now notice what we have here setting up. A very strong ridge out here in the western Atlantic that builds into the southeast and drives very hot and humid conditions up into the southern plains and central plains, which interacts with the polar air mass that's over the northern plains, in which you get all your showers and severe thunderstorms and dual tornadoes and just create havoc. So when we look at the 500 millibar pattern, trough in the west and the Pacific Northwest, ridge in the central part of the country, trough over the Canadian Maritimes. Let's see how this evolves moving forward. So the cold front moves through. Tomorrow's the last hot day. And then by Friday, well, that cold front is driven south. High pressure is taking control. Our temperatures are a bit cooler, lower to mid 60s for lows, a few upper 50s over the interior. High temperatures in the lower to mid 80s. Far more comfortable, lower humidity, sky cloud cover expected. Now look what happens for this weekend. By this weekend, we have our trough locked in over the Canadian Maritimes. We have a ridge over the plains and the southeast. We have a trough basically lingering between the central Pacific to the Gulf of Alaska. And so when we look at the winds at the mid-levels of the atmosphere, that's kind of driving all the air masses around, you have clearly a defined northerly flow over New England and the northern mid-Atlantic and the Great Lakes. However, from the southern mid-Atlantic, the southeast, and the southern plains, you're clearly under the regime of that ridge from the tropical Atlantic, from the southwestern Atlantic. So what you set up here in temperature-wise is cool conditions over the northern mid-Atlantic and hot and humid weather conditions over the southeast, over the plains, over the upper Midwest. Meanwhile, the Great Lakes in the northeast and the northern mid-Atlantic stays relatively cool. And that's going to continue on through Sunday, into Monday, continuing to Tuesday. You can see it very clearly in the temperature pattern and also in the winds. More of a northerly flow over the northern mid-Atlantic, and then you get your ridge kind of building in here. Same thing again as we move forward all the way through the next 10 days, where we continue to see a trough over the northwestern Atlantic and a ridge remaining in place over the southeast. And so we will be basically right around that backdoor cold front, and that's going to keep the threat for scattered showers to isolated showers in place throughout the entire forecast. So for Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, this is what we're looking at. Scattered to overcast cloud cover depending on what disturbance is passing to our south, with the threat for isolated to widely scattered showers almost at any time. Most locations though will remain dry. Temperatures will range from the upper 50s to lower 60s for lows and upper 70s to lower 80s for highs. This time of year, we should have temperatures right around the mid 80s, so we're definitely going to move into more of a below normal regime as far as temperatures are concerned. And look out for that northeasterly wind locking into place a little bit stronger than what some models suggest. We've seen that already this spring and early summer. And if that's the case, then you're going to end up with overcast skies throughout the day and cooler temperatures than forecasted. So we're definitely moving away from our hot and humid weather pattern to one that is definitely much cooler, a little bit raw, and definitely a nice gift from the Canadian Maritimes. Well, that is your forecast discussion for today. Of course, I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. Follow the latest weather information at nynjpaweather.com and nynjpaweather at Twitter, Facebook, Google+, and LinkedIn.